Hey guys, how you doing today? My name's Devin. I am starting the first video in a multi-part series of how to save money and how to make more money as a rideshare driver. And by rideshare, I mean Uber or Lyft, whichever one you prefer, whichever one you decide to do. I know a lot of people that do both, and that's fine. All right, so the first tip that I have for you guys is really simple, and that's to get a tip jar. And a tip about getting tips, all right? Because tips will add a lot more money to the income that you're already making from Uber and Lyft through the app. So, quick story. Uh, my wife had already gone to work and I was going out to drive and I was thinking, hey, I've seen people, put tip jars at restaurants, tip jars in an Uber or Lyft when I sit back there. And maybe that's an idea. I wonder if that actually works. I wonder if it can actually make me more money. So, what I did is I went looking around the house. I didn't want to go out and buy anything because, time is money and I had to get on the road. So I was looking around. I found this coffee can thing, and I was like, okay, cool, that'll work. I'll cut a slit in it, whatever. I open it up. It's full of grease from the stove. I'm like, probably not the best thing to use for a tip jar. So the next thing I found, which I ended up using, was this little plastic spoon box. And I was like, okay, well, beggars can't be choosers. And I looked like a moron because I just dumped the spoons in like the cabinet. And I cut two little slits in here so I could put a string in it. Stapled a little note here to the top that says tips with a smiley face. You can probably tell that penmanship is not my best quality, or it might, and in that case, I'm in trouble. Um, but I got that. I tied it to the little armrest thing that faces the back seat, and I was just gonna see if it worked, see if anyone saw it, and decided to tip me. And I was driving around, and I can say that it made a big difference. There's something about just the passenger seeing or hearing, hey, I should give my driver money, that actually, who would have thought, prompts them to give you money. And I mean, some of you may be saying, well, why can't we just ask? And I was thinking about that too. I tend to be an upfront, kind of blunt person. So I thought about it, and then I was like, nah, I might be able to get away with that in like New York or something where it's just generally expected to tip, but in other places, I don't know if it'd be socially acceptable to just reach out your hand and ask people for money. So I decided to go with a more subtle approach. And speaking of subtle approaches, a tip box is not the only thing that you can use. So, depending on when you're watching this video, I mean, I'm hoping by the time you're watching this video, we may be out of this pandemic state that we're in, but we'll see. So a little while ago, Uber actually sent me this little card, and it was giving different guidelines to abide by to keep from getting COVID, right? So on here it says, cover your mouth and nose, sit in the back seat, open the window if possible, wash your hands, typical sanitary stuff. And then the last part is my favorite part because it says tip your driver, right? So what I did with this is I put it on the seat in front of where the passengers sit, and that would be kitty corner for me. So I'm in front driver's seat, they're in back passenger seat. So I put it in my front passenger seat so that it's facing them. And now every time they get in the car, bam, right in their face is, hey, tip your driver. And that seemed to help me as well. So, and you might be asking, well, did this actually work? Yes, it did. So before this, I wouldn't even record the tips, right? I wouldn't record them because they were so negligible. I might get like $2 or $3 a day. Because in my area, I don't know. I guess we're just not good tippers, or I'm not a good driver. I don't know what it is. But I did not get tips. And since this, I went from making $2 to $3 in tips a day to at least between 5 and 15. So I can say that between the tip box and the signage on the back seat, it definitely helped me. All right, and I will say there were some good days, there were some bad days, right? There were some days I only made $5 in tips. There was one day where I made $20 in tips, 10 of which was from one customer, and I'll probably be talking about that in a later video because that was a really cool story. And there's another tip in making money that I'll probably throw in there for y'all. But anyway, purpose of the video, get a tip box. You don't have to go out Amazon. You don't have to go buy one. Just make something like this. Just some kind of a visual reminder that, hey, you know, this guy's out here driving me around. He'd probably appreciate a tip. Let me give him a tip. And sometimes that's all it takes. But anyway, guys, thanks for listening. I appreciate it. I'm fairly new to the YouTube. And by fairly new, I mean brand new because this is my first video. But I hope you guys liked it, and I hope I can be of service to you guys in the future. So if you want to see more like this, please like and subscribe.